Okay, we proceed to question 5b. So question 5b, 5.2, sorry. Yeah, so question 5.2, it says, this is question 5a2. A2. So the question says, with the same equation being given, so we've been asked now to do what? To calculate the root mean square value. The root mean square value. So how do you calculate the root mean square value? These formulas which I'm giving out, we just have to master them and you know them to say, if I want to calculate the mean, I'm supposed to use this formula. If I have to calculate the root mean square value, I have to use this formula. So this is the formula for the mean square value, the one you're going to be using. So the formula for the mean square value, the one you're going to be using, you have RMS is equals to, this one starts with the square root. We have something like this, the square root of 1 over pi, the same thing, 1 over pi minus 0, the integral of pi and 0. Here, instead of just writing our v, to be v squared d omega t here. So this is our main formula we're going to be using. Okay, so once we have this formula, what's next? We start substituting. So our square root here, it will be 1 over pi minus 0 as usual. Then what do? We bring the integral of this 0 here. What is our v? Our v, it is 100 sine omega t squared. Wow. D what? D omega t. We have something like this. Okay, what next? Step by step, don't forget, step by step, so that at least we should be moving together. Okay, so what next? We have this, the square root, it will be the square root. What is pi minus 0? That's pi. So it will be 1 over pi. Then you have your 1 over pi here. Get this the way it is. The integral of pi 0 here. So you have your integral of pi 0 here. What are we supposed to do? This one, let's factor out 100 squared. 100 squared, it's 10,000. This one is the 100. Remember, there's a square here, so to be, we factor out 100 squared so that we remain with the sine omega. So we remain with the sine squared omega t. So what is our 100 squared here? 100 squared. We have 10,000. So our 10,000 will come here. 10,000 times 1, that's 10,000. So it will come out. So that here we remain with what? So that here we remain with the sine omega t squared here, like this, d omega t. Okay, we have something like this. Then when we come to this part of trigonometry, the identities. So trigonometry, it has the identity part. The identity is part whereby cos x plus cos squared x plus sine squared x is equals to 1. Those identities we are supposed to know them. But there is this identity I'm interested in. Which says that cos 2x or cos 2x, is equals to cos 2x is equals to 1 minus 2 sine squared x. This is also the what? This is also the identity. So here we can do what? We can collect like terms. Not like terms, sorry, by trying by all means to make 2 sine squared x, the subject of the formula, because we are having it here. This is sine squared omega t, so we are having it here. So what we can do is we can have our cos 2x minus 1. Okay, let me just try to make it simple. This one comes this side, this comes this side, so that we don't confuse anyone. So I know why I'm starting dividing and this. So to be just this one comes this side, so to be 2x 2 sine squared x is equals to, so when this comes this side, meaning the sign is going to change. No wonder I'm not putting the negative here. So it will be equals to 1, this one, then this one, when it comes this side, it will be negative cos 2x. Okay, so where there is x here, we're going to be substituting with the omega t. Okay, so you have something like this. Okay, so then what are we supposed to do with these two? So we divide throughout by 2, also here by 2, or you can multiply by 1 over 2, you cancel. So meaning our sine squared x, let me put now the omega t. Sine squared omega t is equals to 1 minus cos 2 omega t over 2. So this is the one we are going to put here. I hope we are understanding this, guys. This is the one we are going to put here. Okay, so let me try to open another page. Okay, so okay, we have this. I'll start solving from here, the top. Okay, so our previous equation, rather the solvings, we have this. So we have the square root. We have the square root of 10,000 here over the pi. Then we have this, the pi and 0. So here we substitute here the sine omega t, we substitute with what? 1 minus cos 2 omega t over 2. So it will be 1 minus cos 2 omega t, you close over 2. You have something like this in here. Okay, so once we reach this stage, what next? Wow, once we reach this stage now, what next? These are the zeros, these. What next? Once we reach this stage, what next? We try by all means now to do what? To integrate it. Okay, so how do you integrate? So we say now the integration part comes here. Let's factor, before we integrate, let's factor out this part here. So when you factor out this part here, because this one, it is 1. Remember, it's 1 over 2 minus cos 2 omega 2 over 2. Okay, so what we can do is we can factor out this 1 over 2, so that we remain with 1 here. So we can have our square root, our 10,000 here over pi. Let's factor out 1 over 2. So it will be 1 over 2 here. When we factor it out, it will be 1 over 2 inside of the integral here. So it will be 1 over 2 inside of the integral. We have our pi here, sorry, and our 0 here. Okay, we have factored it out, then open bracket. What are we going to remain with? When we factor out 1 over 2, we're going to remain with 1 just, minus. Here, when we factor out 1 over 2, we're going to remain with just the cos 2 omega t. Okay, so we're going to remain with the cos 2 omega t d omega t. Okay, we have something like this. We are moving together. You have something like this. So when you reach this stage now, we start doing what? Integrating. Okay, we start doing what now? Integrating. Now let's integrate this. So we can integrate this. We go to the next step. Okay, so now let's integrate this. So don't forget our square root here. This is our square root. So here, when we start integrating now, meaning this, we can remove this 1 over 2 here, we multiply it with this. So let's just multiply it direct. So we're going to have 10,000 over 1 times 10,000, that's 10,000. 2 times pi, that's 2 pi. We have something like this. Yeah, trying by all means to do what? To to simplify the equation. Okay, so now this one, when you integrate 1 becomes x. When you integrate 1 becomes x, but here there is no x, there is omega t. So when you integrate 1 becomes what? Omega t. What I mean by integrating x, because we say that when you are differentiating, a constant becomes 0, because this is the constant here, maybe 1. When you are differentiating, this one becomes 0, but when you're integrating, this one becomes what? X. It depends with the respect you are differentiating to. I mean, it depends with the respect you are integrating to. In this case, we are integrating it with respect to what? To omega t. So when you integrate 1, it becomes omega t. Hope I'm clear. Minus, when you integrate now, what? When you integrate this one, the cos 2 omega t. When you integrate this one, what are you going to have? So when you integrate a cos, becomes a sine. Okay, so here what we are going to have is sine